Okay, let's start the second session. We are at number 10, page 1138. The view of a person such as this is right view. His intention is right intention. His effort is right effort. His mindfulness is right mindfulness. That is where we stop. So his mindfulness is right mindfulness. What is right mindfulness?
The four foundations of mindfulness.
Four foundations of mindfulness. There, perhaps it is translated as four establishments of mindfulness, four references or something like that. Have you ever read that? Four references or something like that.
Sort of. I have, as it happened, I have this
Frames of reference?
from the Greek.
What is that?
Frames of reference.
Frame for references.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
And four pillars of mindfulness.
Four pillars. I don't know if I read that.
Yeah, I've heard
Look
of
over
that.
to sometimes.
He dwells
Four
contemplating
pillars?
the body.
Mm-hmm.
He dwells contemplating feelings. He dwells contemplating mind. He dwells contemplating phenomena.
Contemplating.
Phenomena.
Where,
it's
where
in
is
a different
that?
book. It's in the Mahavagga
Mahavagga.
in
By?
Samyutta.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Right. So there are different translations, though.
Would you use a different word than phenomena?
Dhammas?
Dhammas arising and flowing.
That's also used. Dhammas.
Yeah, there are different views of this. Four foundations are satipatthana. You see, satipatthana. That is the word. Sat is mindfulness. Patthana is to establish. That is the meaning. Sometimes it is a foundation. When you say foundations, there are many foundations. Sometimes foundations are there, no buildings. But these four foundations are not mere foundations. These are to be built up. The house is to be built up on the foundations. Four foundations. What is the house? That is the Nibbanic house. Dhamma house is to be built. When you build the house, there is a square-shaped house, right? You have to build these four together. First, you have to start from one side. Then you go to next side, next. Then four establishments of mindfulness to establish the house of Dhamma, and at the end you come to the pinnacle. That is Nibbana. So four foundations are satipatthana. This is the Buddha's technique of meditation. This is different. This is what we have to understand. What the Buddha really taught as meditation. This is his meditations. This means four foundations of mindfulness or four establishments of mindfulness.
That's how you're supposed to work with the satipatthana going around.
Yeah, you
The
too.
four foundations.
Four foundations means you have to practice this four without.
That's how you practice according to the satipatthanas. You go from the body, the perception,
Feelings, perception,
perception,
no, not perception, mind and mental objects.
and dhammas,
That is the systematic way.
Okay.
Otherwise, how can you practice? Can you experience mental objects right after the first one? No.
What is not linear.
Mental objects means experiences.
Okay.
Dhamma, Dhammanupassana. Dhammanupassana means when mental objects. Mental objects are the experiential wisdom. That is how you experience the Dhamma.
And your frame of reference also can change between different reference in the same points, in the same meditation sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The same
You
on
can change from one frame to another.
yeah. It is the practice. I see this as a delving of a tunnel. That is how I see.
Building a tunnel?
Delving is digging. Digging a tunnel. It's a square-shaped tunnel. The practitioner has to use the tool. Tool is the wisdom. You have to delve the tunnel, and when you build it, dig it, you have to start one side. This is the Kayanupassana, contemplation on body as body. When you practice this, then you can come to the second side, and then the third side, and finally on the top. It's a square-shaped tunnel. When you dig this tunnel, you come to the end of the tunnel, then you see the light at the end of the tunnel. That is how I see. I see means that is how I understand. Okay, so
Why tunnel? Why tunnel?
why tunnel?
Yeah.
Uh,
The end of the light.
There's a light.
Yeah, when you come to the end, you can see the light. That is what happened.
Bhante, does this sutta apply to the cushion in particular, or is it applying both on and off the cushion?
What question? What question?
Is this, are we talking about practicing
Mhm.
with this sutta, and this sutta is saying how to handle things in practice, or is it saying how to handle things as you go about your daily life as well? Both.
You have to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the first thing. You have to practice mindfulness. When you practice mindfulness, there are different things to practice. Buddha has given 21 different objects to practice the first components, which is the contemplation on body as body. There are 21 different objects. Like mindfulness of breathing is the first. That is the first thing. We have to practice first one first. Mindfulness of breathing. But before that, you can practice other meditations like metta, Buddhanusati, metta, asubha, marana. These four are called four guardian meditations.
It seems to me when I read this, though, that he's the Buddha is describing how life is experienced by someone who has all of the correct. He has all of these characteristics. This is how. And so when somebody like this eats a pizza, he's bringing all of these qualities to the pizza eating. Sorry. I can't think of anything else. I'm hungry.
You mean this part? This part?
Huh? I'm craving.
This part? Only this part?
Not
This
only
is the Four Noble Eightfold Path. This is the Eightfold Path.
No matter
mindfulness.
Okay.
in every single activity.
Okay, fine. So then in that case, though, you have 4 foundations done in a sequence. So then my question would be, how would you apply this not off the cushion? Would you still apply it in a sequence of going through this is my perception, this is of form, I see the pizza, I experience the pleasure of the pizza, and is this prescribed as the practice for all activities?
Well, when you practice, what you to practice is one thing. When you practice one thing, you develop 4 things. When you develop 4 things, when you practice, develop 4 things, you experience 7 things. When you practice 7 things, you eventually realize 2 things and realize Nibbana.
So what are those things?
First thing first means mindfulness of breathing. When you practice mindfulness of breathing, you develop 4 establishments of mindfulness. When you develop 4 establishments of mindfulness, you come to the completion of 7 things, are the 7 factors of enlightenment. 7 factors of enlightenment come to accomplishment. And when you develop these 7, you realize 2 things. Those are Vijja, Vimukti. Vijja means knowledge, and Vimukti means realization, liberation. Knowledge and liberation. Knowledge means 4 noble truths. Right knowledge. Okay? So, mindfulness, that is right mindfulness. Right mindfulness, whenever we talk about mindfulness, we should not forget who taught us mindfulness first. Today we talk about mindfulness all over the world. People talk about mindfulness and they teach mindfulness in every place, everywhere in the whole world. But they do not know who taught mindfulness first.
They do, they just don't. They just don't want to say it. They don't want to bring it up because they know that what they're teaching is so different, and sometimes not okay because it's basically is conditioning. It's conditioning, over conditioning. Meditate in the waters and go to the forest. Pretend that you are this. It's more conditioning, and they call that mindfulness. Now you're at peace. That is Nibbana.
Right. Yeah, right.
Seriously, in their apps, you know. So that's what. And let me tell you, Bhante, maybe you don't know this, but there's a lot of money in mindfulness.
Yeah, that's right.
Business.
Yeah, it's a very big business.
Huge business.
Huge big business.
I think it's a disgrace.
Yeah. And deceive people. In this name, mindfulness, people are deluded. Maya, moha, mulha. They sell this name, mindfulness. But mindfulness is, as the Buddha taught here, Buddha understood what mindfulness is. Buddha taught us right mindfulness. There again we have to understand why it is called right mindfulness. There are wrong mindfulness as well.
Bhante, what does wrong mindfulness look like?
Wrong mindfulness means you can develop mindfulness to do something wrong. What type of things? Like when you see a deer, you want to shoot. What do? You take the gun and mindful aimed. If you have no mindfulness, how can you shoot a deer? Right? That is meditate. That is meditation. You meditate. Mindfulness is there, but wrong mindfulness.
What does wrong mindfulness look like maybe with more sort of day-to-day people?
Wrong mindfulness means whatever you do wrong, in order to do all wrong actions, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, telling lies, taking intoxicant, all these are done with wrong mindfulness. And when you have wrong mindfulness, it leads to wrong actions, wrong concentration. Wrong mindfulness leads to wrong concentration. Wrong concentration leads to wrong knowledge. Wrong knowledge leads to wrong liberation. Liberation also there, wrong liberation. Huh?
But the Buddha himself predicted that.
Huh?
The Buddha himself predicted that we are halfway through it, that the teachings will be so diluted and will be unrecognized at the end, and will be lost. And then comes the next book.
That is how people, they misguide these things. They don't understand the real meaning of the word. So, mindfulness, whenever we talk about mindfulness, we have to understand mindfulness means right mindfulness. We talk about right mindfulness, 4 establishments of mindfulness. That is the Buddha's technique of meditation. Especially for this purpose, Buddha taught this sutta, Maha Salayatanika Sutta. Maha Salayatanika in the Majjhima Sutta number 10. And Digha Nikaya also there is a sutta, Maha Salayatanika Sutta. This one is called Salayatanika Sutta in Majjhima number 10. Digha Nikaya, it is called Maha Salayatanika because it is longer. It is longer with the explanation of the 4 noble truths. That is why it is longer. Okay, then his concentration is right concentration. Right concentration. We talk about this, right concentration. But his bodily action, his verbal action, and his livelihood have already been well purified earlier. What do you mean by this?
Sila has been developed.
See, that is the meaning. Sila, this path is starting with Sila. Sila, Samadhi, Panya, that is the way. First thing is Sila. First thing is morality. Path is divided into 3 groups, right? You know these 3. So, the first group is called Sila group. Then Samadhi. Then Panya. Sila consists of these four factors. Right concentration, bodily actions, verbal actions, and right livelihood. 3, of course, 3 factors. Bodily actions. What are bodily actions? What are the bodily actions? Actions. The word actions. Yeah. Action, the Pali term for action is kamma. There again we have to understand 2 different terms. Kamma and kammanta. 2 things. Kamma and kammanta. Here it is not karma. It is not kamma, the Pali term. That is why you have to understand Pali terms. Otherwise, translation is the same. When it is translated, simply give the word action. Samma kammanta means right action. Kamma means right actions. So what is the difference? Samma kammanta is not karma.
Right action.
It is not right action, is not karma. Karma means actions. That is karma is actions. That is intentional action. But kammanta and kamma are two things. Means when you say kammanta, samma kammanta, in Mangala Sutta, in the Mangala Sutta, you can find the word kammanta. Mata pitu upatthanam puttadarasa sangaho anakulacha kammanta. Anakulacha kammanta means actions which are not confused. Not confused actions. In right livelihood, when we talk about right livelihood, we talk about different type of professions. Professions are also called kammanta. That is the difference. Either right actions or different professions. Kammanta. There are two terms.
Like right professions or just
Simply professions, whatever, professions. Kammanta. Two different terms in Pali. That is what I want to I want to tell you.
So right livelihood is
right livelihood.
kamanta. You have right speech, right action, right livelihood. Right action is just karma, and right livelihood is kamanta.
Here, bodily actions are killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. These three bodily actions. So, when you say bodily action, there are two types of bodily actions: good actions and bad actions. These are our daily actions. Verbal actions are speech. And livelihood, when you talk about livelihood, there are different professions. Professions are also called kammanta. That is the difference. So these have been already well purified earlier. That is sila. Sila is already purified. That is the meaning. Okay? Sila is purified. Sila is completed earlier. Then samadhi, panya. Come to panya. Thus this noble eightfold path comes to fulfillment in him by development. When he develops this noble eightfold path, the four foundations of mindfulness also come to fulfillment in him by development. That is what is happening. When you develop this noble eightfold path, the four foundations of mindfulness also come to fulfillment. That means four foundations of mindfulness are there in the path. Right mindfulness. Okay? The four right efforts of right kinds of striving also come to fulfillment in him by development. Then right strivings, they come to fulfillment. The four bases for spiritual power also come to fulfillment in him by development. four spiritual bases, the spiritual powers. Then the 5 faculties also come to fulfillment in him by development. 5 spiritual faculties. 5 powers then. By the way, what are the five spiritual faculties? You know these things, right? Like 4 strivings, 4 bases. What are the 4 bases?
4 bases of power.
Energy,
Energy is one. Faith.
purity of mind, investigation.
Yeah. And the 5 spiritual faculties?
Mindfulness, wisdom,
energy,
concentration, faith.
And faith.
faith, sadha.
Which one should be the first?
Mindfulness.
No.
Energy.
Saddha. Somebody said Saddha. Saddha is the first thing. You know, without Saddha, you cannot practice Dhamma. Saddha is the first thing.
That's why we have Bhante
Saddha Vijiva is here, that's why, yes.
Bhante, so to me, sadha is not just confidence and faith, but also it's a form of being inspired.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
Thank you.
That's correct. That's very correct.
Yeah, if the mind, and also it connects to one of the tetras.
Yeah,
The mind has to be gladdened in one of the tetras.
yeah.
And if a mind is not gladdened, a mind has to be gladdened in order to move forward. And that really stuck in for the samatha. It's just so important to gladden the mind. It's so connected to one of the tetras.
Yeah.
That type of sadha.
Saddha has two different kinds of saddha, you know. Akaravati saddha and amulika saddha. Amulika means baseless saddha, baseless confidence. Baseless confidence means baseless faith. That is baseless faith. Blind faith, in other words.
Wrong faith?
Wrong faith.
No,
Blind.
But it's wrong faith.
Yeah, wrong faith.
Yeah,
Blind
wrong
faith.
Thank you.
Baseless faith. Baseless faith. Baseless. No base. No core. No core. No base. Rootless. That is rootless. That is called amulika saddha. No mula. Mula is root. No mula. Amulika. Amulika saddha. Which is not appreciated, not recommended in Buddhism. Buddha taught us not that saddha, but saddha with panya. Saddha with wisdom. Always saddha should go with wisdom, balanced. Here, even in the 5 faculties, saddha is to be balanced with panya, like this. Saddha first. Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. Those are the 5. These 5 are to be balanced. Saddha is to be balanced with Panya. Virya is to be balanced with concentration. To balance all these, mindfulness is the first thing.
That's what I thought it was first.
Huh?
I was wrong. That's why I thought it was first, because I knew it balanced the others, but I was wrong. It was
Saddha is the first.
Yeah.
Saddha, Virya, then Virya. Virya, without Virya.
Sadha gives
Yeah, Saddha. If you have Saddha, it gives Virya.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right. That's right.
Exactly.
If you have Saddha, it encourages you to practice Virya.
Encourages.
Yeah. Saddha, Virya, then Sati, Samadhi, Panya. Then when they are developed, cultivated, they themselves become powers. Then they are called Pancha Bala. Bala. Yes, Bala. Also come to fulfillment in him by development. Then the 7 factors of enlightenment. 7 enlightenment factors also come to fulfillment in him by development. What are the 7 factors of enlightenment? Mindfulness. Oh, okay. The first thing is, you see, they are mindful. Why? Why their mindfulness is there as the first one? Why?
Because it's the base for investigation.
For investigate, right? And
Yeah.
joy is also there.
Because it is now. It has come to the first, right? It is the first thing now.
Right.
Because you develop mindfulness from the very first day you started your meditation. What do? You develop your mindfulness. Mindfulness. You talk about mindfulness and you develop mindfulness. Now it has come to the apex. Mindfulness. It is together with yoniso manasikara, wise attention. When you develop the 5 faculties, together with yoniso manasikara and good friend, kalyana mitra, association with a good friend, both these help to develop your mindfulness and develop 7 factors of enlightenment. This is given in the Bojjhanga Samyukta. There is a particular chapter here in Connected Discourses. There is a full chapter on 7 factors of enlightenment. So mindful, 7 factors. First one is mindfulness. Then second one, investigation of
the Dhamma.
Dhamma. We have to, if you simply use the word investigation, not enough. Because what should you investigate? Dhamma.
Yeah.
Not many things. You can investigate wrong things also. Wrong things also. If you develop wrong mindfulness, you develop wrong investigation again. The second one is investigation of Dhamma. Third, what is the third? Energy, virya. Then next, fourth, joy, piti. Next, tranquility. Tranquility, yes. Passaddhi.
Or serenity, right?
Serenity is normally we use this term serenity for concentration.
Okay.
Next one, concentration. Concentration and serenity are the synonyms.
Okay. So the last one is upekkha?
No.
Upekkha, yes.
Equanimity.
Upekkha, equanimity. Upekkha, yeah?
Is there effort in 7 factors?
No effort. Effort is they are in energy. Energy, virya, is more than effort. Energy is there in virya.
But the energy is also part of the 4 powers?
What?
Yeah, it is.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Energy also everywhere. You need everywhere energy.
But Bhante, energy, can it be translated as right effort?
That is also there. That is when you say like padhana. Padhana is energy, striving, energy, effort. These are bit similar terms.
Same family.
Yeah, same family.
Effort is in the Noble Eightfold Path.
Yeah.
You have, and that's where the 4 efforts are.
Yeah.
Okay.
4 efforts are right there. Just move your book. It's fine, Bobby. Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't
Upaikkati is the word upekkha. Equanimity. This is plus mark.
What does that mean?
Upaikkati, upekka. Upekka means equanimity.
Right.
Equanimity.
What's the whole thing?
Upaikkati means, upa means inside. Ikkati means see. You see inside.
Okay.
That is the meaning. That is what I want to show you. when you say upekka, upekkati, upaikkati, you always see inside, see middle, see inside. That is the meaning. Upekka. Equanimity. Simply when you use the term upekka, it has no this meaning. That is why if you know this word Pali meaning, you can understand what upekka is. You see inside. When you see inside, you can come to calmness. Upekka. It is with that upekka you can understand dukkha as dukkha. If you have no upekka, if you have not seen inside, you do not see the real nature of dukkha. Dukkha as dukkha. In order to see dukkha as dukkha, you have to have upekka. So with that, you understand understand dukkha, and you can develop your nibbida, disenchantment, which leads to dispassion and vimukti, realization.
Bhante, where's discernment comes from?
Huh?
Is that wisdom? Discernment is same as wisdom, right? Discernment?
Discernment. Clear comprehension. We had the discernment. Clear comprehension. That's what you're talking about. It can be called discernment.
Discernment.
Discernment. Discernment.
Discernment means
to
what?
discriminate. To discriminate. To be able
Discernment. Discriminate.
But not in a
No.
negative connotation.
disseminate. To be able to discriminate as far as right from wrong.
Yeah,
Discernment.
understanding.
Yeah.
Discernment.
To study it.
That can be used for the second factor of enlightenment.
Investigation, discernment.
Yes.
Discernment.
That's right. Clear comprehension.
Is that
mindfulness,
discrimination?
concentration.
Discrimination?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Discernment.
When you say after Nibbida, what is that? Before Vimukti?
Nibbida, viraga.
Viraga.
That's dispassion.
Viraga is dispassion.
Discernment. Be able to decide. To understand.
To understand.
Clear comprehension.
Is it closer to wisdom?
Yes.
Yeah. Trying to.
Sometimes
trying to decide.
But now I think it's closer to investigation.
We did not come across the word, right?
Discernment. Also.
Discernment.
To discern.
Discernment is used like wisdom. I think I have read somewhere like discernment. Yes. Once the Buddha said, this sansaric journey, the beginning is not discernment.
Not discernible.
Yeah.
Not discernible.
Not discernible, right? Not discernible.
Comprehensible.
Indiscernible or something like that. That means it is impossible to see, impossible to discover, determine.
To determine.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Then upekha is very important as the seventh factor of enlightenment. Without upekha, four establishments of mindfulness, not four establishments, four noble truths cannot be understood.
Because it's not just for dukkha, it's for impermanence.
You do not see dukkha as dukkha. When you understand dukkha, perhaps you understand repulsiveness. Dukkha. You experience as repulsiveness. Dukkha as repulsive. It is something repulsive. That is why people say suffering. When we use the word suffering, people don't like. Because they don't know. They can't understand it. they don't have upekka. They have no equanimity to understand it as suffering, as a factor.
I realize that the 7 factors of enlightenment are used to destroy the last 5 fetters. I don't understand how they are used before then. You just
Last 5 fetters?
yeah, conceit, restlessness, doubt, the quest for immaterial and for material existence. So the 7 factors are used to destroy those fetters.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand how they're used beforehand.
The Buddha has told that also. Buddha has given in a particular discourse in the same chapter, the 7 factors of enlightenment. There is a particular discourse where the Buddha said these 7 factors of enlightenment are to be developed and cultivated for the destruction of higher fetters. That is given in the suttas. That's true. But in this case, first to understand the 4 noble truths, first you have to develop 7 factors of enlightenment. If you do not develop this, because these 7 factors are like the rafters of the peak house. The Buddha gave that simile also. They all go towards the peak. They all leading towards Nibbana. Therefore, we have to develop 7 factors of enlightenment. They all lead in there. Then we understand on the top of the house, we can understand the square-shaped things. That is what is called 4 noble truths. When you see the pagoda,
Like a steeple.
yeah, on the top of the pagoda, you can see this 4 square-shaped things in the pagoda.
I don't understand how I missed that. How did I miss it?
It's all right. you miss and you found it.
Yes.
Okay, so 7 factors of enlightenment are to be practiced, developed, cultivated, so that you come to the 4 noble truths. 4 noble truths. When you come to the 4 noble truths, first you understand the dukkha as dukkha. That is the meaning. Dukkha as dukkha. You have to understand unsatisfactoriness as unsatisfactoriness. As it is. As it is important here, this case also. As it is, you see. Then you see the cause of dukkha as it is. Then you remove the cause. And then you realize the 4 noble truths. You realize Nibbana, and for which there is the path. The path is the Noble Eightfold Path.
Right there.
Right there. Those are the things to be understood. Then 7 factors, 7 enlightenment factors also come to fulfillment in him by development. These 2 things, what are the 2 things? Serenity and insight occur in him yoked evenly together. What do you mean by that?
Vipassana.
Vipassana is
Samadhi.
Yeah.
Vipassana with samadhi.
Yeah.
Samatha. So that means samatha and vipassana should go like this together. Not samatha meditation, not vipassana meditation. Now today what happens? Many places.
But it's impossible to do that.
Hmm?
It's not possible to do, even if you want to do it.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it just doesn't. It's not natural.
It's not true.
What's
I
that?
don't agree.
What is
What's
not
that?
natural?
I don't agree with that at all.
What is not natural?
To have them together, he's thinking that you have
Together
to have
is not
No,
possible?
That's what he's saying, yeah.
Is that you say?
Huh? What did you say?
Do you say that some serenity and insight together is impossible? Is that what you say?
No. Separate.
Separate is
Yeah.
impossible, right?
Yeah.
That is what you said.
Yeah.
You know.
The natural thing is together. I cannot see them separate.
he said
That is the
oh,
problem.
okay.
Yeah.
You got the
Some people
wrong,
do practice.
wrong picture.
If you just
There are
missing
people who
something.
practice only
Some people-
concentration
Yeah.
meditation,
They want to reach.
and all they care about is jhana. And
Exactly.
they don't care about insight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they can be
I know
practiced
someone
This-
who
separately.
does that.
Or only Vipassana
Yeah.
with
Samatha
mastering.
and
I know someone who does
Vipassana,
that, and that's supposed to be
Samatha
different.
Vipassana are Samatha this side, Vipassana this side, like that. These are not two different things. That is not the Buddha taught.
Right.
I told you Buddha's technique of meditation is Maha Salayatanika Sutta or Satipatthana Sutta, where you see both together from the beginning
From the beginning, right?
beginning to the end, both together. Samatha Vipassana together. These are called yoke.
Right.
Yoke, Yuga Nadda. Like a yoke. Right? So that is called Yuga Nadda in Pali.
Because Bhante, some I don't know some teachers, but there's a lot of saying that you have to, when you develop samadhi, you jhanas, and then you get out of jhana, and then you practice insight vipassana.
That's the Nizaro.
It's not. This is not possible.
Yeah, that's the Nizaro. Or jhana.
It's like you cannot just drop off jhanas and start insight. That's why I can't. That's what I say. It's not natural
I agree with that.
because
I do
it's
agree
kind
with
of like one fits the other.
They come
This
together.
Samatha means not necessarily you practice all jhana and then switch to insight.
Right. That's what they say. Not possible.
Buddha said you can practice insight even when you come to the first jhana, you can switch to insight. Second jhana, you can switch to insight, like that. It is given in the Maha Salayatanika Sutta, here in the Majjhima.
But there's a school of thinking.
Yeah.
There's a school that it says that they don't even want to approach vipassana unless you have
Unless you claim
master.
jhanas.
Yeah, that
Fourth
is
jhana.
that is
The
the
fourth
problem.
jhana.
That is a problem. We have to, if we follow the Buddha's word, what we have to do, we have to practice first. We have to practice samatha. Samatha first. Samatha means not necessarily you develop jhana and come to a certain level and then switch to insight. But when you practice samatha, concentration meditation for several days, then your mind is quite concentrated. When the mind is concentrated, whenever you see the change in nature of the object of your meditation, that is where you switch to insight.
Right.
That is how you to understand.
Yeah.
Not necessarily you come to different levels, jhana or
And I think
something
it's
like
the
that.
feeding also.
Huh?
It's the feeding going that way, to try to accomplish the four jhana. I just think it's there's a component of, it's the feeding. And
So it is
you're not
here
able to
we-
feel your wisdom.
We can understand here clearly this two together, serenity and insight occur in him yoked. To keep that word in your mind. Yoked, yuganadda. Like this, hand in hand, yuganadda, yoke,
Supporting.
supporting each
Yeah,
other.
okay.
These both should support each other. Yoked evenly together. He fully understands by direct knowledge those things that should be fully understood by direct knowledge. He abandons by direct knowledge those things that should be abandoned by direct knowledge. He develops by direct knowledge those things that should be developed by direct knowledge. He realizes by direct knowledge those things that should be realized by direct knowledge. That is Four Noble Truths. Through your direct knowledge, you comprehend, you understand things, understand dukkha. Then you abandon craving. then you develop the Noble Eightfold Path, and then you realize Nibbana. That is the meaning. Here, direct knowledge means you asked this question this morning, right? Direct knowledge is in Pali. The Pali term given is abhinya. Abhinya here. Abhinya, in this case, abhinya means insight. Insight. Abhinya. There are different types of knowledge, such as there are five worldly knowledge. They are also called abhinya. Panchabhinya. Panchabhinya. Abhinya, yes. Panchabhinya. Those are called knowledge. But in this case, not those five types of knowledge. Here it is insight knowledge. Insight knowledge. So, vipassana. Insight is vipassana. And what things should be fully understood by direct knowledge? The answer to that is the five aggregates affected by clinging. That is the material form aggregate affected by clinging, the feeling aggregate affected by clinging, the perception aggregate affected by clinging, the formations aggregate affected by clinging, the consciousness aggregate affected by clinging. These are the things that should be fully understood by direct knowledge. So in order to understand this as they are, you have to have vipassana. Vipassana is direct knowledge here. Right? Clear?
Okay. I understand.
Okay then. And what things should be abandoned by direct knowledge? Ignorance and craving for being. Craving for being is craving for existence. Bhavatanha. Bhavatanha. Ignorance should be understood and abandoned. Craving for existence is to be understood and abandoned. These are the things that should be abandoned by direct knowledge. And what things should be developed by direct knowledge? Serenity and insight. Serenity and insight. Any question? Yeah.
Back in earlier in the paragraph, the things to be the aggregates affected by clinging, the formations aggregate, is that sankhara?
Yeah. Formations aggregate, formations are sankhara. Here it is said, and what things should be developed by direct knowledge? Serenity and insight. That means serenity and insight and the Eightfold Path, the same. If you develop Eightfold Path, you develop both this, serenity and insight. Right? These are the things that should be developed by direct knowledge. And what things should be realized by direct knowledge? True knowledge and deliverance. These are the things that should be realized by direct knowledge. So, true knowledge and deliverance. What is true knowledge here? What do you mean by true knowledge?
The three marks of existence? The three marks of existence?
No. 3 marks of existence means insight. Vipassana.
True knowledge is the Four Noble Truths.
The Four Noble Truths. The true knowledge?
True knowledge, yes.
Wisdom?
No. Knowing that the feathers have been destroyed. Yes. No. Yes.
True knowledge. True knowledge
knowing that the
is possible true knowledge is possible with true concentration. Right concentration. What is the result of right concentration?
The destruction of
Right right knowledge. Right knowledge is true knowledge. What is right knowledge then? Four Noble Truths.
Right.
That is the Four Noble. That is the realization. Realization. Here it is said, these things are to be realized here. Now you see, when we practice, when we study this right view, first of the Noble Eightfold Path, the first thing is right view, right understanding. Right understanding means understanding the Four Noble Truths at the beginning. Now this is called right, true knowledge. When you come to the end of the path, you realize the Four Noble Truths. So earlier, the first one is not the realization. Now this is the realization of the Four Noble Truths. Earlier what you had was knowing. You have to know it. And know is that see is here.
So Magapala?
No, Magapala, there are no such things here. You
So
don't.
Pala, not the seeing. Pala, it would not be the seeing, the fruit.
No, Buddha, at the beginning, Buddha said, one has to know and see. Know and see. Know means theoretically you know it. See means you see it as it is. That is what is called insight. It is realization. This is realization, not mere insight, not mere vipassana. It is the result of vipassana.
So that's
Now
not
you
the
have
fruit?
come to the end.
So is that considered the fruit?
This is the fruit.
That's what I'm saying. Pala.
Yep. Phala, yes.
Yes, pala.
Yeah. Phala.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
this is the phala. That is right knowledge. That is called right knowledge. That is the ninth factor of the path.
Right.
Ninth factor of the path. Now the path becomes
Right
10th factor. What is the 10th factor? 10th factor is right.
Yeah.
What is that? Right liberation, right
Yes.
deliverance. Right deliverance is the 10th factor of the path.
Yes.
So path becomes 10 factors.
Deliverance is the same as liberation?
Liberation and deliverance, the same.
Okay. I didn't know. I wasn't sure deliverance was the same as liberation.
Deliverance here. Here the term given is
Because I was thinking
deliverance.
about FedEx delivery. Okay, sorry. Yeah. I don't know why that crossed my mind. I don't know why. So I thought,
There are different things.
yeah, I know.
Deliverance is another term for that. You can use that also. Deliverance. Deliverance. Yeah, deliverance is liberation. I think there's a book by Venerable Jnana Moli, Path to Deliverance or something like that. Can you remember? Path to Deliverance is the book. It's a booklet by Venerable Jnana Moli. Moli or Jnana Ponika.
So true knowledge and deliverance is the power of the arahanship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are the phala.
Which is nibbana.
Yeah. Okay, whose turn is it to read? Some more to read. Huh? Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
where I am, but
All I know is you read.
Okay, you can read.
I know you.
It's all right. We have only
But where?
few lines.
Where do I pick it up?
I think at 11.
Yeah, 12, 14. 12, 14.
Which one?
Someone knows and sees the years.
12 to 14.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. When one knows and sees the ear as it actually is, these are the things that should be realized by direct knowledge. When one knows and sees the nose as it actually is, these things are the things that should be realized by direct knowledge. When one knows and sees the tongue as it actually is, these are the things that should be realized by direct knowledge. When one knows and sees the body as it actually is, these are the things that should be realized by direct knowledge. When one knows and sees the mind as it actually is, these are the things that should be realized by direct knowledge. This is what the Blessed One said. The bhikkhus were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One wood. Bhante, but wasn't this the same thing in the Parinirvana when I can't remember which bhikkhu approached the Buddha before he died, and the Buddha said the last thing that he says, what is seen, what is heard should be heard, something like that.
That is not the Parinibbana Sutta. That is called Bahya Daruchirya.
Okay.
Bahya Sutta. The name of the person is Bahya.
Okay.
That is once, Bahya. It is the shortest sutta given by the Buddha. Shortest sutta.
Wow.
Because this person, he was of course a sailor. He sailed in the sea, and as the ship was wrecked and he came to the shore naked, and he, as he had no clothes, he wanted to find something, and he finally found some barks of the trees, and then he made a sort of garment, a cloth like, and he used it. Then he went to the city. When he went to the village, people saw him, and he's a different person, and people thought that he must be an arahant. Then he also pretended this. He also pretended to be the arahant. And then people came to him and they offered food, drinks, and they did the same thing. He pretended as the arahant. One night, a certain deity, one of his previous life relatives, he came and said, Bahya, you are not an arahant. You are not an arahant, or you are not a person who is striving to become arahant. So don't say that. Then he asked, then who is the arahant? Then the deity said, Buddha is the arahant. So he asked, where is the Buddha now? He said, Buddha is in the north of India. North. There is a monastery named Jetavana. He is living there. You better go there and meet him and learn how to become an arahant. Then the following morning, he went all the way to the monastery in the north. He was from South India. He went all the way to the monastery, and when he went to the monastery, Buddha was not at the monastery. Buddha was on his alms round on the road as he was collecting his food. And then he went to that place and asked Bhante, please teach me Dhamma. Now Buddha is going from house to house begging with his begging bowl. Buddha is going. He came and said, Bhante, teach me Dhamma. Then Buddha said, Bahya, this is not the right time to teach Dhamma. This is the time for alms. Then he said, for the second time he said, Bhante, please teach me the Dhamma. Then again Buddha said same thing. Then third time he asked. He said, Bhante, I don't know whether I live that long, whether you live long. So please teach Dhamma. Then Buddha taught him Dhamma. Bahya, Buddha said, Ditte ditta mattang. Ditta is seen. What you see, when you see something, there is only seen. There is only seen. Ditte ditta mattang. Ditta mattang is the only seen. When you see something, you have only seen there. You see only that much. There is no person here, no person there. That is the meaning. There is nothing to be grasped. Ditta matta. Sute sutta matta. When you hear something, it is mere hearing. mere seeing, mere hearing, mere smelling, mere taste, like that, these 6 senses. Referring to this, Buddha gave this only short advice. With this he realized Dhamma, and he became an arahant on the way.
And then Bhante, the ending is a few minutes later he gets gored by a cow.
Right.
Yeah, at the end, what happened? Cow attacked him, and he died on the spot.
And then Bhante, and then I think the Buddha said to his disciple, you see, don't worry about it. He became an arahant now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take him and cremate, and make a stupa. That is what he said. Make a stupa. Stupa is a small pagoda.
Maybe not.
And respect him
Right.
as the arahant, as one of your brethren.
But his mind was ready.
He was
mind was right.
that is the case. His
Exactly.
mind was ready by that
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And
Boom.
when the Buddha gave this gist of Dhamma, Buddha
One
gave
page,
this
one little bit.
short advice, attained enlightenment.
His mind was right.
That happened. There's another occasion. A person, a magician, he was an acrobat. While he was performing his acrobacy, Buddha taught him. Buddha gave instructions. Then he attained enlightenment on the top of the bamboos, two bamboos.
Oh, I heard the story. 2 people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2 people.
And what about
Can you remember that? There is some, what do you call it?
Dhammapada.
Yeah, Dhammapada,
you watch your own actions.
Uggasena
The other
story.
ones is not
I think
needed.
Uggasena.
Exactly. Don't watch,
Uggasena
don't
Nataput.
watch your own actions.
Nataputta story. What is that?
I think it was like the Buddha saying, and I'm not paraphrasing it correctly, but something to the effect of the guy said, you watch your own actions, don't watch me, but you watch your own actions.
There is another thing. That is a different story.
Okay.
That is Sedaka Sutta. Sedaka, the place called Sedaka. The Buddha said, monks, there was an acrobat and his apprentice. The person, the teacher, he asked her to come to the shoulders and sit on the bamboos to show their acrobacy. And then he said, please protect me. See, he asked his apprentice to protect him. He said, I will protect you, please protect me. That is what he said. Then the apprentice said, no, I will protect myself, you better protect yourself. That is like that. That's the story.
But what about the one that he became an arahant with the acrobat? Can you say that one? Which one? The one that you wanted to say previously?
Yeah, that was what
that's the
I
same
said.
one?
No, these are 2 different things.
Right. But can you say the other one that you were going to say?
No, I said earlier, the acrobat who attained enlightenment on the bamboos, 2 bamboos. These 2, both were acrobats, but 2 different stories.
Right. No, yeah, I know that.
One is from the Sutta Nipata, Samyutta Nikaya, connected discourses. The other is from the Dhammapada story.
And Bhante, what about that other story that he became an arahant by watching a cloth?
Yeah.
Getting either water, and it was spreading.
Yeah, there are many stories. Like if you read this Theragata, Terigata, there are a lot of stories like that. They all attain enlightenment by seeing such things or hearing such things. Have you ever read stories of sisters, brothers? Those are the things. Sisters, you have to read this. Huh? Therigata. Read the Therigata. There are Therigata. See, there's the book. Therigata means theories are the enlightened nuns. They express how they attain enlightenment. How they attained enlightenment. Like one person, I think it is Patachara. Patachara is the one who lost her 3 kids, husband, and parents. Then naked she went to the Buddha. When she went to the Buddha, people were there listening to the Buddha, and then as a mad person, she went there, and then the Buddha addressed her, and finally she entered the order as a nun, and she practiced, and for her enlightenment, as I remember, she after practicing meditation, she wanted to go to sleep. As she was going to bed, she wanted to douse her light, the lamp, and then she before that she saw some water seeping water into the earth. Seeing this, she understood the impermanent nature. The water seep inside, right? Then she understood that, and finally she doused the light. She blew out. With that, she attained enlightenment. Like that. Such stories are there. You can read this Therigata. Theragata and Therigata. Theras are the elders, the monks. I guess this two red books, the small ones. Yeah, either those or this side. Check the name.
Okay, yeah, I gotta get my glasses.
Therigata.
You know where this one? Get your glasses. I gotta get it.
Okay, you can read this later. Theragata, Therigata.
Okay, thank you. I'll find it. Thank you.
So we come to the end of the discourse. This sutta is a wonderful discourse. Very good. Any more questions?
I have a question regarding the little debate about doing jhana first and switching to insight. I was just wondering, in the suttas, the Buddha, he had all 8 jhanas, and then the night under the tree, he went into jhana and then realized the 4 noble truths. Is there anywhere in the suttas where it says the Buddha practiced vipassana before he attained enlightenment?
Well, jhana, Buddha attained enlightenment. He practiced jhana even before he practiced his own way. Before he practiced his own way, as even before the Buddha, there were many people who practiced jhana. 4 jhanas, not only 4, 8 attainments. Those are called attainments. All 8 attainments, but no vipassana. The Buddha's teaching is vipassana. Nowhere else. No other teachers knew that. And the Buddha then practiced jhana under the 2 teachers, Alarakalama and Uddakaramaputta. And finally, even before that, when he was around the age of 5, he practiced first jhana. He attained first jhana under the rose apple tree. So after he practiced, he practiced these severe austerities. Eventually he got nothing from practicing these severe austerities for 6 years. Then he contemplated upon the experience that he gained at the age of 5, around 5. That is the jhana, first jhana. then he started to practice jhana, and he contemplated on this, and on the very day that he attained enlightenment, he practiced jhana and he attained enlightenment. That's true. But there were some people, they did not know, they did not practice jhana, like the person, we talk about these two persons, like Bahya Daruchirya and the Uggasena, who attained enlightenment on the top of the bamboos. They did not practice jhana. So that means we do not know. Without jhana, even without jhana, one can develop insight and attain enlightenment. But in order to come to vipassana insight, you have to practice samatha at least for a couple days. That is what you to do. Without practicing concentration, meditation, even for a couple of days, you cannot understand vipassana. Vipassana means what? Vipassana means not now. Today there are many signs, many temples, many vipassana meditation centers. Vipassana is sold all over. But for you to understand, vipassana is possible only by practicing samatha even for a couple of days. Without practicing concentration, you cannot understand. Vipassana means understanding three characteristics of existence. That is vipassana. How can you understand when you simply sit for meditation? How can you understand three characteristics? It is impossible.
Yeah, I just found it was interesting. It's, at least it's unclear to me. I know the Buddha was the first person to teach vipassana, but it's unclear to me, in my understanding of the suttas, whether he himself practiced vipassana before he got enlightened. And I just found that interesting.
Yeah, that is vipassana. He realized vipassana. Vipassana means he understood three characteristics before his enlightenment. Even before his enlightenment, he understood this. The nature of life.
On that night, though.
Huh?
On that night.
On that night,
Yeah,
yes. On that night.
But that is after he had 6 years of this very
Austerities.
Extreme austerities.
Yeah. Yeah, one has to understand the nature of changing. You better read the discourse, Noble Quest from Majjhima Nikaya.
Okay.
Noble Quest. Sutta number 26, I think.
Bhante, is that you were mentioning earlier that if you don't see suffering, that's the beginning. So how is that how you would see suffering? By looking at the three characteristics? Yeah,
suffering. In order to see suffering, you have to have equanimity. That is what I said earlier. If you see the three characteristics of existence, you know suffering as suffering.
But how about
Vipassana.
For someone who doesn't know suffering? How would they begin to know suffering?
True vipassana. Only true vipassana, no other way.
So if someone doesn't know suffering, doing vipassana, then they will never...
No. Now you have to understand these two levels. All the time try to remember these two levels. Know and see levels. Know level and see level. These are two different things. Always we have to understand when we practice meditation, we know. I know. You can say I know. But you do not see it. Until you do not see, you do not really understand it. In order to understand that, you have to see it. In order to see, you have to have concentration. Concentration leads to insight. So that is what is called see. Then you see, you understand suffering. In order to understand suffering, you have to have concentration.
So it is that when in the First Noble Truth it says there's suffering to be investigated. And when you investigate it, that's how you end up seeing it.
Yeah.
That's why.
So suffering, we can understand suffering, right? Even in daily life, we can see how people suffer. We ourselves suffer. Sometimes we ourselves suffer at home. You have a lot of things going on. Then you can feel suffering. What is this? What is called suffering?
But
you can understand it.
You're right, but those are the effects of suffering. But not everybody knows how we make suffering. And how do we create the suffering? That's a different thing. You're right. We all understand what suffering is.
Yeah.
We feel it, but we don't know how we make it. How do we create the suffering? And that is a skill. That's a skill to be
that's
learned.
both sides. You have to understand both sides. The effect and the cause and effect both should be understood.
But with the effects, I think we know all very well.
Yeah.
All of us know it only too well.
So suffering is to be understood.
But
Understanding and realization. These are two things.
But we have to know it with our own meditation, not just theory, to see how we create the suffering.
Well, I'm
I see
talking
it all the time.
about someone who...
I understand.
No, I'm talking about generally. That's where the vipassana comes. How in our own mind, not your mind, not his mind, our own mind.
Right.
How do we create the suffering?
Through craving.
No, I understand that. I mean, I understand.
Okay, I'm trying to
Okay.
get on the same page as you.
Okay.
It's either we want something or we don't want something, and in the craving for existence, the I, me, mine, craving. How does that suffering? I was wondering. So I'm still trying to get on the same page. I'm trying to understand your point.
Whatever suffering, cause of suffering is craving.
No, right. No, I agree. I was talking about something else, though.
Well, okay, what are we talking about? We don't understand.
We see how we
Exactly.
the making.
How do we build it?
The
our
making of
own
suffering.
Self. The making of our own suffering. I'm not asking. I'm not saying that I don't know the mechanism of suffering. I know about the conditioning and the craving and all that. But you understand what I'm saying.
So the making of our own craving is when we want something, or we want to get rid of something.
Right. Exactly. But we
You
have
don't
to
see it?
see it
Yeah.
what's happening. You know, the making of it. You know, that's going to lead me to suffering.
That's going to lead
If
to
I go, if I ate,
Exactly.
put another spoon of food, I'm going to feel bad because I'm going to feel full. So you're making the suffering. You know, that's a problem. That's what she's referring to, and that's everywhere.
Right.
No,
Correct.
Well, I'm asking yes, someone who refuses, no, I'm fine, I'm not suffering, I don't have suffering.
That is because of they are not understanding things. Suffering is all over. Wherever beings, there is suffering. That is the truth in the world.
So if someone is saying, I don't have suffering, everything's great.
The person is not ready to accept it.
I'd say you
That is
always
right.
get what you want. You
So
never get what you don't
yes.
want. How lucky you are.
Since that is when you think that.
Equanimity, you just...
Yeah, what you are saying is very correct. Because there are people, when they have all things, like material things, they think that they are not suffering. They are ready to say that I'm all right. I have everything. I'm not suffering.
Or they're getting
Suffering
old
in
and
that case, they think that they have material things, but mentally they have suffer. They have suffering. Mental suffering is there. simply thinking of the material things, they refuse to accept it.
Well, what about like growing old? No, I can do all the things I used to do, but
that is what is called ignorance. Nothing else. Ignorance is.
I mean, basically, we can see those kind of people around the world. But what it meant, they don't realize their thoughts exactly how it is. That's why they're saying, I don't suffer. I'm very comfort. I have everything. I'm very happy. They say it, but when the time comes to go to sleep, they don't know it is because of the suffering. When the time comes to eat, they want to eat, they can't tolerate. That is suffering. They don't know it. When they had enough food, full. Then again they want to go to rest a little bit. That is also suffering. And not only that, every day morning, they take care of their body. They suffer a lot, but they don't say it. They are thinking themselves, what is happening? What is happening? Because they are suffering. That's why they have that question. It means the suffering is very complicated words. Suffering, if they know their mind changing, their bodies and everything, then they can realize, yes, I am suffer a lot. But no one focus into that, no one realizing into that level, then how they can realize the suffering? They don't realize their suffering. At least if they can recognize their thoughts, what kind of thoughts are arising in their mind, they can see whether they are suffering or not.
So how do you work with someone like that? And instead of looking at their mind, they get furious, angry,
Leave them alone.
Everything is there.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything is that person, but even though he is not recognizing those things, then he ready to say, I am not suffer.
But Bhante, like my son, when he came from, when he finished college, and we were talking about this, and my son says, what you said, I'm not suffering. I have a girlfriend. I have my job. I'm going to be a scientist and everything. And then I said, okay, and so I'm not suffering. I'm as a matter of fact, I'm doing great. And I said, that's fine. Let me ask you something. Do you believe, is this true or not? Will that job that you're going to get, will that be a forever job? Is it possible to lose it? And he says, yes. What about your home? Would it be possible to lose your home or your job? Yes. So take away your job, take away your girlfriend, take away all of this. You tell me, will you be completely okay? Will you feel completely satisfied, content with life? Well, now that you put it that way, why you have to be so negative? and I said, do you see the false security? That is all false security. You think that you're happy, that you're secure, but those are false security. You told me yourself. You can lose your girlfriend. You can lose your job. You can lose your home. Is it not possible?
You can get sick.
You can get sick.
You can be
I mean, one of your friends, he almost died from a mountain, and then he says, "Oh, now I don't want to think that way." And I'm thinking, well, that's what it is, and you have to face it sooner or later. It's all false security.
Suffering is not something coming outside. It is the nature. That's why Buddha used the word dukke loko patittito. The whole world depending on suffering. It means whatever the actions we are doing, whatever the activities we are engaging, all activities behind suffering is there.
Right.
Whatever the things.
Even when we are experiencing pleasure in activities, then there's the other side of the coin. There is the potential for suffering if we get attached to whatever we're doing because of impermanence, correct?
You don't even have to be attached. It could be poisonous.
Yes.
Sir, what's the number of the two acrobats, the master and the student, that one says, I watch you and watch me, and the other one says.
That is from Samyukta Nikaya,
Samyukta Nikaya.
Connected Discourses. There is a sutta named Sedaka Sutta. Sedaka is the place. I cannot remember the number. It should come under Satipatthana Samyukta, mindfulness of for establishments of mindfulness.
I'm asking that because every time this sutta comes to discussion, there's always someone that says that, oh, that's a very selfish attitude. You know, and
yeah, you protect yourself. I protect myself. That is what
a lot of people say that. That's the first. There's always someone saying, "Oh, this is a very selfish attitude." You know? And all comes together when they're like, you know, a lot of people say that Buddhism is a very individualistic, and that you take care of for yourself, and you know.
Because there's a presumption that you should be ever altruistic.
Right.
But there's also the truism that you cannot take care of other people to take care of yourself. And a good analogy for that is when you take a flight and say the airline is say the plane's going to lose pressure and the air masks drop down, what do they tell you to do? Put your mask on first before you help your child, right? Your child can't put the mask on themselves. They don't know what to do. So if you don't put your mask on first and you lose consciousness, who's going to help your kid? Maybe nobody. They can't get to your kid. So now, because you didn't take care of yourself first, now you're both in danger. And people don't understand that, but if you explain it to them like that, sometimes they do.
I think also Buddha mentioned, I cannot quote exactly the word, but it's like he's been looking all over the world and he couldn't find anybody who loved himself more than something to that.
That's the queen.
The king and the queen.
Yeah. Mallika. Queen Mallika.
Queen Mallika.
Kosala and King Kosala and Mallika, they were on the balcony by that time. Can you remember the story?
Oh, that's right. People shout.
There are a lot of stories.
Bhante, what's the name of that book?
Theri Gata. T-H-E. Theri Gata. What do you know Theri Gata? Do you know them?
Bhante, you said from Vipassana meditation comes the fourth foundation meditation, then the seven factors of enlightenment, and then the knowledge meditation. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You said from Vipassana meditation comes the four foundations of mindfulness.
No, mindfulness of breathing comes to that.
I'm sorry?
Mindfulness of breathing first.
Yes.
Mindfulness of breathing then leads to four foundations of mindfulness.
Okay.
Four foundations of mindfulness leads to seven factors of enlightenment. Seven factors of enlightenment leads to knowledge and deliverance.
But isn't mindfulness of breathing? I know it's anapanasati, but isn't it still vipassana? Mindfulness of breathing.
Both serenity and insight.
Okay,
both.
that's okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Both. When you say mindfulness of breathing, both this.
Yeah.
First serenity, then insight.
Yeah.
So this is given in the sutta name Ananda Sutta. If you want to read that sutta from Connected Discourses.
What is it again?
Ananda, Venerable Ananda.
Yes.
This was given to Venerable Ananda because once he went to the Buddha, Venerable Ananda went to the Buddha and asked, Bhante, is there one thing when developed and cultivated come to the fulfillment of four things, and four things when developed and cultivated come to the completion of seventh thing, like that he asked this question. Then the Buddha gave this sutta, which is called Ananda Sutta. That is from Connected Discourses, Anapana Sangyukta, Anapana, chapter Anapana. So you can read from that.
Thank you.
Anapanasati Samyukta.
Yes, Anapanasati.
What book? What book is that?
Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing.
Okay, all right.
From Connected Discourses. That is the fulfillment of things systematically in order, First, when you practice mindfulness of breathing, you have to practice one thing. Then you develop 4 things. When you develop 4 things, you complete 7 things. When you develop 7 things, you develop 2 things. Yeah. Realize 2 things. That's the way. It is given in that Anapanasati, Ananda Sutta. It's very important. Very important for mindfulness of breathing.
So it comes from
Anapanasati Samyukta. Anapanasati chapter. Ananda Sutta.
That's a very streamlined approach. It works too. It works.
Well, I think it's we have 20 minutes more, but if we have no questions, we can wind up.
You know the sutta tomorrow, Bhante?
Tomorrow will be Kakachupama Sutta from from Majjhima. Kakachupama is simile of the soul.
Are you teaching it, Bhante?
Bhante Jasar, yeah. Jasar will take it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody.